I even brought that up in my debate with James White, that exact point. God could have had perfection from the beginning. He could have had 100% glory from, everybody could have glorified him. There could have been no evil. It seems you could have had heaven from the beginning.
Let me see if I understand, just for the audience to know, and let me see if I understand for you to tell me what McGregor's response later is to this point, basically. It seems like the response is something like, you are acting like you can use greater good arguments. But for the audience, greater good is when you say, in response to, why would a loving, all-knowing God, all-powerful God allow some particular instance of suffering when he could prevent it, and a loving God would want to prevent it, right? And so a greater good argument is any, or theodicy or defense or whatever, is any response that tries to say the reason God did or permitted, actualized or permitted this evil was for some greater good that could only be achieved. In some way, it's like you imagine the evil being bound to the good. So the only way you get the good is if you allow the evil. And so Guillaume is here saying, we can say that too. Calvinists can say that too. And McGregor wants to say, I don't see how you can, because on your view, God could have determined that everyone do exactly the right thing all the time. Is that basically what you got from that?
Yeah. And, that's something I even brought that up in my debate with James White, that exact point. God could have had perfection from the beginning. He could have had 100% glory from, everybody could have glorified him. There could have been no evil. It seems you could have had heaven from the beginning.
Yeah, and Tim, on top of that, you have, I remember Jerry Walls way back, like 7 or 8 years ago, saying in his speech at Houston Baptist, he was talking why Calvinism's false or whatever he said, and he was saying that, he pointed out that what you and I probably talk about all the time now, but at the time it was news to me or I didn't think about it, that on compatibilism, of course, right, they talk about free will. And if you're new to this, you should know that Calvinists believe in free will. They just don't believe in free will like the way that non-Calvinists believe in it, what we call libertarian free will. They believe in a view called compatibilism that says, okay, well, determinism is true, but somehow we can, you can still have a meaningful sense of freedom, even if all your beliefs and actions are determined, and morality and all those kind of things. But Walls pointed out then, well, yeah, if you want to talk about free will on compatibilism, then what that means is, on your view, God could have determined it such that everyone freely, on your view of freedom, everyone freely does exactly what they should.
Right. And that's why I spend most of my time focusing on determinism. Does my interlocutor affirm determinism? And that's the view that antecedent conditions are sufficient to necessitate, an event is determined if antecedent conditions are sufficient to necessitate the event. So then if one wants to say that everything is determined, then you would say antecedent conditions are sufficient to necessitate all effects. And when I talk about exhaustive divine determinism, I'm primarily focused on God, either via his decree or the initial conditions of the universe that he created or whatever, that there are these antecedent conditions up to God that are sufficient to necessitate everything about the human.